My name is Rupali and I belong to the Pollination Gardens of Westboro.
Hi, my name is Srivastava and I love to plant pollinators, which are plants which are friendly to pollinators.
Hi, my name is Mahi. I go to the high school and I'm their daughter.
Hi, I'm Hika and I had the idea for this garden 2 years ago.
So we really began on this project last year. It was really an interest in not only just pollinators in general, but mostly bumblebees that are native to Massachusetts. We happened to hear a talk by a very renowned professor at UMass by the name of Dr. Robert Jagir. He has a well-researched plant list that he's come up with that is very friendly to native bumblebees of Massachusetts. It's sad to know that there used to be 11 native species and right now there's only 7, out of which 3 are already on their way to decline. And if we don't take action in the next decade, those bumblebees are going to disappear as well. And you might wonder, what difference does it make if one species declines? But there is a cascading effect on the ecosystem because that bumblebee then affects a native plant. That native plant then affects any other insects that depended on that plant. So it's really a symbiotic relationship that all of them share, and the decline of one species has a cascading effect on the entire ecosystem. That's when I reached out to Freddie Gillespie at Southborough. She is a force of nature. She took me under her wings and mentored me on this entire process, how to go about it, what is the importance of planting these plants, which plants to plant that are more friendly to the species that are in decline. We worked with the Conservation Commission. I really have to thank the leadership at the Conservation Commission, the Westboro Land Trust. They approved this project and they basically helped us by scraping off the topsoil and giving us sort of a blank slate. We don't have any funding, so we had to depend on a winter sow of the perennial seed. So what you do in the winter sow is basically you take the perennial seed, you put it into the soil, close it up in a milk jug. I can show you a sample of it later, and leave it out where it will be exposed to the elements. Come spring, you will get seedlings which you then take care of and then transplant to your garden, and you have a very cost-effective way of getting a lot of good straight species plants. Because one of the challenges is that you might be interested in planting native plants, but well-established plants in a nursery cost a lot, and that can definitely be detrimental to your project. So we've gotten a whole lot of winter sow donations from another Westboro resident. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today, Julia Risimula, who gave me a lot of her donations. A lot of the plants in the garden are actually her donations, which we put in as really small plants last year, and today they are, as you can see, taller than my height, and I'm not too tall. So that's what it is. This has been a project about collaboration. There have been people like not only Freddie, Gary Phillips of Northborough. They've all really mentored us. And the idea for me, at least, is to get the young people involved. So I'm very encouraged that today we have some young kids attending. Also, we had the good luck of the new superintendent at Westboro High School, Mrs. Borchers, was able to make time to come here, because what we want to do is we want to be able to establish such gardens in open spaces at the school. We did a small project like that. We assisted rather in collaboration again with the Conservation Commission and the Land Trust at Mill Pond School. We did a mega winter sow. Freddie gave us the seeds for it, and about 140 students participated in that winter sow. The saplings from that winter sow are going to go into a pollination garden in Mill Pond. It's already established. We're taking care of it. So once again, we have the Principal Gilnitz to thank for that. We have Mrs. Casparello and Mr. Maletta to thank for that. It's been a collaborative effort all throughout. We bought a lot of our straight species from the garden sale, the plant sale by the garden club. And that's what I really like about this. We are so thankful to the Westboro community. The community has always helped us. If we reach out, they have helped us in terms of the plants, in terms of efforts, to help either to sow the plants or de-weed. And I really want the kids interested in that. As a parent of a teenager, you always worry about the digital world and them always being in the front of screens. And this is a great way to take care of your mental health, not only for myself, but even for the kids. They come out here, my kids have a wonderful time identifying the different species. And if you feel like, you're having that kind of a struggle where you're, struggling with limiting, screen time or something, plant a small garden, have them identify species, have them look at the different bees and try to identify if they are one of the ones that are on decline. It's really about that. It's about the community. It's about giving back. And I really thank Westboro TV as well. You're always there to spread the word for us. And this is great. Thank you so much.
We've been working with Dr. Robert Giguere since 2015 when he adopted our conservation land, Breakneck Hill, as his first research site, studying at-risk species of pollinators. And historically, we're 11 species of bumblebees in Massachusetts. We're down to 9 now. Of the 2 that have left, one is on the National Endangered Species list and the other one is being considered. Of the 9 that are left in the state, 3 are at risk of disappearing, being locally extinct, extirpated from the state. And of those 3, 2 are in this region. Dr. Giguere used extensive research for over 5 years before he came up with a list of plants that we now use in gardens. We advocate for more people to put these gardens everywhere, and interestingly, we have a Facebook group, Native Plant Gardens of Southborough, that we let anyone from any region become a member. And through that, I met Julia, who participated in our winter sow, and she had an amazing green thumb and grew tons of plants for us. And then about a year ago, she came and asked if we could get Dr. Giguere to speak at the Westboro Sustainability Fair. And he did, and that's where I met Rupali, who then came to a garden tour we had in Southborough at our library, where we had one of these preservation pollination gardens. And she was so enthused that she went and created this one here, which has been an amazing effort. And then the energy and how this effort is spreading through people like her, she has no idea the impact her one little idea has grown to. It has grown to a huge effort. And how many students were in the
140.
140 participated in a winter sow for the 6th grade class in Westboro last winter. We provided the seeds. We hand collect in Southborough. We have a winter sow project where we go out and we collect the seeds from these most important plants. We clean them and then we package them and give them away. Last year we gave over 2,000 seed packets away, in addition to bulk seeds like we gave to Westboro. And then those seeds grow into plants that people can then plant in their own gardens to create habitat for these species. And one of the reasons we do this is these plants, when we first started, you could hardly ever buy any of them, even in native plant nurseries. Now they're becoming more common for sale, but it's also a really affordable way to get a lot of plants. And it's a way that many people can participate. We have hundreds of volunteers, hours, that help us clean the seeds and package them up. So there's a great community effort, and all ages, as you said.
I'm State Rep Kate Donahue, and I'm excited that Westboro has a pollinator garden. The communities that I represent, Northboro, Westboro, and Southboro, now all have public pollinator gardens, and I've known Freddie for many, many years and excited about the work that she's done mentoring the folks here in Westboro. Thank you.
Thank you everyone who's come here. I really appreciate it. We had a gorgeous day. Looks like God's smiling down on us. So I'm really very happy to see the enthusiasm in all of you. We're going to speak a little bit about the journey. A lot of it is shown in a picture format right there. What our journey was, but I'd like to talk about the people that were involved and also how you can help or create something similar in your gardens. So my name is Rupali, my wonderful husband Abhay, and my girls Mahi and Mihika. Mahi is a sophomore, is a rising sophomore, and she's a rising 7th grader. We've been residents of Westboro for about 6 years. About 3 years back during COVID time, everybody got a dog, we got a dog, and we wanted places to walk him. And we would always walk him up here, and we would notice that if you see on that side, you know how there's an overgrowth of weeds there. That was exactly how this spot was. We would see a lot of goldenrods later in the summer, and we were like, oh, that's so beautiful, because we'd see all the bees buzzing there. And we got thinking, wouldn't it be wonderful if there was, you know, more bees all the time? There's where my daughter comes into the play. Around 4th grade, she learned about decline of pollinators. She came home and told me, Mama, the government really looks for people who can plant wildflowers that would welcome pollinators. And I said, that's a beautiful idea, but I'm sure there's rules around it. You can't go sprinkle seeds in like government property anywhere. So that's how I got in touch with the Conservation Commission. I really have the Conservation Commission leadership to thank, Jennifer Miller, her assistant Sam Corbin. They walked me through the process of how to present this to the Land Trust, the Westboro Community Land Trust. We made a quick presentation. They approved it. They had a few questions about how it was going to be taken care of and stuff like that. And we assured it that as long as we have the strength, we are going to take care of it. They approved it. The commission came in along with the DPW, scraped the topsoil. So what you see there, they went over it. They scraped all the topsoil and gave a blank slate to us. That's where the lack of my knowledge was very evident to me, because I knew that now I had a blank slate, but now what do I do? I thought I'm going to go to a bunch of nurseries and buy native plants and plant them. That was how uninformed I was back then. And we realized very quickly that not only is that an expensive proposition, that's probably not the right way to do it. That's where these wonderful people here, Freddie Gillespie and Gary Phillips from Northboro, they really took me under their wings. They were probably shaking their heads every time they talked to me, saying this girl doesn't know anything or this lady doesn't know anything. But they never made that evident. They were never judgmental about me. They provided me all the support. They introduced me to the concept of winter sow. There's another resident who's local to Westboro. Unfortunately, she can't be here because she's on vacation, Julia Rissimiller. What we did is we took advantage of winter sowing, and back on that table there, you're going to see a sort of opened up milk jug, and it has some seedlings in there. What it is you basically take the seeds of a straight species, either a butterfly milkweed, whichever one, you put in some water, you tape it up, and you leave it out in the elements over the winter to winterize. And come March, you start seeing tiny, seedlings sprouting out. You then work on dividing it the best possible way, and it grows. So literally last year when we put them in, they were slightly bigger than that. They were about this shape. They were well-established plants, but that's what it is. You can see in the pictures there were these tiny seedlings. But that's the beauty of native plants, is that this year, with this difficult summer that we've had with hardly any rain, they've come back strong, and I've hardly had to water them at all. I would be remiss if I don't mention the most important piece of this is Freddie introduced me to the research of Dr. Robert Jagir. He's a researcher with UMass, has done extensive research on the declining bee population. We think bees, I see a lot of bees. It's not about the numbers, it's about the diversity. Not all species of pollinators are declining. Some are actually thriving, are doing all right. Some others are. So Dr. Robert Jagir came up with a plant list which is very friendly to these specific species. All right, you basically getting seeds through Freddie's program or through Julia, we were able to winter sow, and Julia gave me a lot of donations of her winter sow. We put that in and took care of it. As you know, as you might remember, last summer was very wet. We dealt with a lot of weeds, and then so we realized that we needed this path, not only so that people like you could navigate this garden, but also it helped with weed control. That's where the tree warden at Westboro, Kyle Grandel, came in handy. He gave us a big donation of chips, and my husband and I, it was a weekend project, but we put in the path. There's some pictures there of how the path looked when we just put it in. Why are we doing this? I think I love Westboro. I think Westboro is an extremely welcoming community. Whenever I've asked for help, there's always people to give me as much help as they can, and we definitely want to give back. We also want to get the interest in the young kids going, because they really are the future. I have a lot of belief in this generation. I think with the right guidance, they can do wonders. And as a parent of a teenager, we struggle with like the digital, how much time we can spend in the front of the screen. And this was a great deviation from that. It's great for their mental health to come out and see when I actually, do something in nature, I actually create something, which is so much more satisfying, at least to me, than any mindless scrolling on the digital screen would give me. So with that in mind, we've also reached out, and we had the great support by the principal at Mill Pond, Mr. Gilnitz, and he approved a pollination garden at Mill Pond. Mrs. Lisa Casparello and Mr. Milletta, who are team exploration at Mill Pond, they were gung-ho about it. We worked with the commission again. About 140 students participated in a winter sow last year. Early this year, around February, and seedlings from that are being used to create the pollination garden in Mill Pond. It's a slightly different idea there. It's not an open space like that. What they've done is they've cordoned off about 2x3 raised garden beds, and the plantation is being done there. Better for weed control, better for just like a controlled way of growing those plants. I'm so thankful. Our new superintendent, welcome to Westboro. Mrs. Borchers has made time here. I wanted them to see firsthand what you can do in a year, and my dream is, and my hope is, with everybody's support, we can set such gardens through our community effort in our schools, in our open spaces, and spread the word of Dr. Jagir's work and assist him. We get so excited. I literally pulled in and I saw a monarch on this milkweed, and I kind of bolted out of the car. I'm like, oh, I saw a monarch, I gotta get a picture of it. So I don't understand why, but it gives so much happiness to see that you did something and it's bearing results. Or you're seeing bees, maybe it's the common species of bees that's coming, but I still love watching that happen. So all of these are on most of these plants, rather. In fact, I'm sure Freddie's frowning at the black-eyed Susan over there. I thing about it is I have to kind of have I put it in because it's a little of a balance, because it's an ornamental value, so it starts looking like it looks better. Not all these plants are ornamentally beautiful. For me, they're beautiful because they attract the pollinators I want. For some others, they have different opinions. So I just put it in for that. I might take it out. I didn't expect it to get that big anyways. But most of these plants are on Dr. Robert Jagir's list. You can just look up on the internet, just type in Dr. Robert Jagir plant list, and you'll get it. What you'll also see there is you can download a native bee identifying chart. So you'll be able to tell, Bombus fervidus, Bombus vagans, and is it Bombus terricola? That's the third one. It's not in this area. So Bombus fervidus and Bombus vagans is what we want to see coming back. And I know Freddie was excited because you saw Bombus fervidus very recently in the Beecology garden. So Dr. Robert Jagir says plant them and they will come. Plant these plants and they will come, and that's what we're trying to do. This is a very small effort as compared to what Freddie has accomplished in Southborough and Gary has accomplished in Northborough. He has a beautiful garden, much more bigger, many more species. Do visit it, be respectful of walking on the path. That's all I think he'll ask. There's different methods too. Freddie, Gary is very different method. He draws a lot of statistics, if I can talk, as to how many seeds he planted and what was the germination rate. I'm more of like how Freddie says, you plant, you put it in the ground, you water it, and you say a prayer, and then you hope it grows. So I kind of am like that, and yeah, because I do want to make it where it's not stressful. Like, I don't want to be stressed about the garden. Like, I want it to be a calming experience. So that's how I go about it. So thank you so much. So I would want, sorry, you wanted to say something?
No, I was just saying, please go ahead. I was just trying to say thank you to everyone who has supported us through end of this project. So. Absolutely.
One thing I will like to say, what you'll see on that table there, while we talk about pollinators, Kyle, who's the tree warden, as a part of the winter sow, we also planted, tried to winter sow nuts of native Massachusetts trees, and we got some surprising success with the chestnuts, which are American chestnuts, which are on decline as well. So we did it in school. Whatever we had in school, I gave Kyle this. This was at home, but I think we're going to give it to Kyle as well, so that we can probably see them in the future. Last thing I'll say, I read, and I might not be 100% accurate, a lot of this that is planted in the back is all made, like people have planted this stuff. I was very shocked to find that out, that this is human effort, the reservoir is human effort, and it makes you feel the power of what you can accomplish if you come together. Like, if somebody can create that, somebody like me can oh my God, my family can definitely create something small like that. So that's really it. I would encourage you to walk through the garden, stay on the path. If you have, there's Mahi did, another thing, Gary has had this idea and I kind of copied it, but Mahi did all the name tags, and what Gary has, he has that on beautiful rocks, and the name is done beautifully there. There's an expense to everything. So this project right now is zero funding, so whatever we can manage within our means, we do it. So we went ahead, got these bricks, but they do the work all the same, and they'll hopefully last because she did a good job of it. Thank you, everyone. Yes, Freddie.
Thank you. I wanted to introduce Kathleen.
Absolutely, come here, side.
She has created a garden another one in Westboro, so she can say it better.
Absolutely, go
Hi,
ahead.
it's not to take your thunder.
Not at
You've
all.
done an awesome job
This
here.
is not about thunder at all. Absolutely.
About spreading the message
Spreading the message.
and the plants.
Yep. Freddie, once again, was my mentor through the whole thing. And I'm Jasleen Kaur, and I'm from the Westboro Gurdwara Sahib, the temple on 168 Flanders Road. When you go across on 495, you can't miss the Golden Dome. You see it all the time. So for the last 15 years, I've been doing more of vegetable gardening, but then during COVID, I got involved with Freddie, and she introduced me to all the wonderful world of ecology and native plants. And I've done 2 winter sows with her and managed to start a small garden at the Gurdwara Sahib. Right now, it lines our parking lot. So we're also in the process of clearing up a big area, or an area half the size of this, to plant other pollinators. We did pretty well. We had a mishap where a landscaper was hired to do some work, and he pulled out a lot of my plants. But some of them are coming back, some of them are not. But I do have a lot of winter sow from last year, which I need to put down. I did not put it down because of the summer heat, so it's probably going to go later. I'm very happy to say that Manpreet over here, she's another member of our congregation, and she is joining our effort, in my effort in this. And yes, Dr. Jagir would not like it, but Manpreet planted some black-eyed Susans too.
I just didn't expect them to get that big, and
But
actually I'm embarrassed.
They're far away from,
They're
far away from his garden. And we do plan to we were talking about doing a garden up front of the driveway with the non-native, with plants that are not from Dr. Jagir's list, and keeping the plant at the back, in the garden at the back, just Dr. Jagir's list. So we'll end up with, when people want the beautiful flowers, yes, and
We got to get away from that though, because beautiful doesn't necessarily translate to.
I completely agree,
Yeah.
and I was heavily involved in buying and putting and setting out beautiful landscaping that we have in the Gurdwara. But that was before I met Freddie and before I knew anything about this.
Yes.
But we have stopped using all pesticides
Yep.
on the grounds, and we're hoping to take it from there.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I just say, once you have a well-established garden with species blooming all the time, because not all plants bloom at once, like annuals, right? So you have to have a succession. And I will say our gardens are beautiful, and these flowers are beautiful. It's just one is coming, one is going, and you need to set up the full schedule of overlap. And so I push back a little bit on there's other plants that are more beautiful, because what's more beautiful than that Joe Pye weed right there? It's in bloom right now. Some of these other plants were spectacularly gorgeous when they were in bloom too. And we're also trying to change people's aesthetics of what is beautiful, because when you walk through these gardens, I find it like a meditative experience, because I'll be all stressed out and thinking, oh, this plant's not doing good, that's not happening. I take a walk through, and by the time I get on the other side, I feel like I've had a massage and a meditation series, because it's like, and see, because you start looking closer. And I just had someone else post something where they said, this brings me so much joy. It's the biggest joy I get in my life today, walking through my gardens and looking. And that's what we all can experience, because we've had that disconnect from nature. And this also brings us back up close and personal. I keep getting distracted by everything flying around. I'm like, what's that? What's that? And I will say, if you go to a non-native garden, and I go to the horticultural Elm Bank or Tower Hill, notice how few species of bees and butterflies there are. It's like a wasteland. And then you come around and you say, oh my goodness, this is alive with life. And it's the ecological benefit, not just for the bees. And Dr. Jagir is now studying butterflies too. And it's not just bumblebees. He's looking at all bees, but you had to start somewhere. And bumblebees are the easiest to identify of all the bees, although that's not to say it's easy. And I will say the name of his website, Beecology. Look that up, because it has all the info. He wants everyone to be citizen scientists. You go, you document, you take a picture, you upload it, and you're adding data to the collection of what species are using what plants. And that's what he did. They knew these species were declining. No one had studied what plants they used. And he went out and did that. He still continues to do it, but he spent 5 years studying before he came out with a list. And I'll make another slight correction to what you said. Dr. Jagir doesn't say plant it and they will come. He goes, don't believe me. Plant it and then pay attention and document. See for yourself. Because he doesn't want you to just trust him. He wants you to be part of the research, but also to be part of the joy and, I don't know, I can't tell you how amazing it is when you see an at-risk species come to your garden. I actually looked for Bombus fervidus for 5 years, knowing it was there. I had seen it maybe 5 times, looking all the time. We planted one of these gardens. Within the first species that bloomed a month later, Bombus fervidus flew over my shoulder and landed at the plant at my knee. I was like, oh, and until then, Dr. Jagir, it was just, if we plant it, he thinks they're going to come. I got to text him, Bombus fervidus is here. And it was one of the happiest texts I ever sent. And then, again, we had no sightings earlier this year. We don't know why, but there was some construction at our conservation land. Cleanup of an old farm dump might have impacted it. No sightings, and 2 days ago I was there to collect seeds for winter sow, thinking I always look, but we thought we lost the population, and there was Bombus fervidus. I'm not embarrassed to say I wept. I wept with joy, And that was another great text I got to send the professor. So of all his research sites, each one of them has had Bombus fervidus, and Bombus vagans numbers are also exploding. So thank you.
I just wanted to say, I'm State Rep Kate Donahue. I represent most of Westboro, most of Northboro, all of Southboro, and I'm just thrilled that we have such active pollinator efforts in all of the 3 communities. And I'll turn it back and let people tour the garden.
Actually, I would be remiss if I didn't thank State Representative Donahue here. I just had to send her one email and she was all in. I definitely wanted her to come because representatives of Southboro and Northboro were also there. What Gary does with no funding at all is amazing, and if they get the right attention, I'm hoping there can be some help that can be given to projects like that. So thank you so much, State Representative.
Thank you all for what you do.
Beautiful.